is October 1938. The MGM production of the long-troubled production, The Wizard of Oz, is finally shooting.
Okay, everyone, stand by. We're doing scene 36, the Lollipop Guild. Please take your marked positions per rehearsal.
The scene is supposed to involve three small people, identified in the 1938 acceptable vernacular of the time, as either dwarves or midgets. They were cast as munchkins, presented in both the film and the best-selling novel, as a fictional ethnic group of people who were naturally of short stature, but one of the actors in this particular scene is surprisingly over 6 feet tall.
Hey, moron, what are you doing here?
What do you mean? I was cast in this movie as part of the Lollipop Guild, and I'm just doing my job.
Dude, you're over 6 feet tall. This is Munchkin Land. Did you not notice? Everyone here except for Dorothy is 4 feet tall.
Well, maybe I'm a genetic anomaly.
A genetic what?
Okay, everyone, here we go. This one's for the Oscar. Roll sound.
Rolling. Speed.
Camera, roll. Slate.
Scene 36, Apple, take 1.
Playback music and action.
All right, hold it, and turn that stupid music off. Can someone explain to me why I have a 6-foot-tall munchkin in my Lollipop Guild? John, production manager, where the hell are you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Fleming. How can I help?
John, why is a 6-foot man in my Munchkin Lollipop Guild? There are no 6-foot people in this whole piece of crap movie that I only agreed to do because my ex-wife took everything in the divorce, and now I live in a shithole studio apartment in East LA.
Well, the thing is...
You know, the tall munchkin seemed rather strange to me as well.
Judy, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you.
Ooh, big Hollywood director, huh? Look, I've already had 4 directors fired on this dumb movie, and I'll can your sorry ass in a second if you don't show me some respect.
My apologies, Ms. Garland. It won't happen again.
Better not, asshole.
Mr. Fleming, can I possibly jump in here?
Yes, of course, tall guy. Why aren't you in Studio B shooting the Land of Giants flick? Lose your way to the right soundstage, perhaps?
I didn't lose my way, Mr. Fleming. I have a contract and a call sheet for this movie, for this role, and this scene.
Can I see those, please? John, are these legit?
You're not supposed to be here, tall guy.
Look, you want to shut up?
Aha! You were going to call me Shorty, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were. I can see it in your eyes. Call Human Resources. Call HR. I want restitution. I'm being harassed over here.
Vic, the stupid dog is peeing all over my costume. Someone needs to walk him.
Certainly, Miss Garland. Jonesy.
Can someone take Toto for a walk, and we need an emergency backup wardrobe change for Miss Garland.
John, are those people legit or not?
Yes, sir, they are. I don't know what the screw-up is, but he's also a member of the Screen Actors Guild, and we can't just fire him.
I know what a labor union is, John.
I'll get you, my pretty! You and your little dog, too!
Jonesy, what the hell?
Who cued Margaret? Everyone, cut! This isn't her scene!
Guys, I'm on fire here! I'm not even joking!
Put Margaret out! Put her out! Call an ambulance!
Shut up, everyone. There has never been a worse first day of filming in all cinema history. John, accompany Margaret to the hospital. I want hourly reports on her condition. Understood?
Yes, sir, Mr. Fleming.
The rest of you, I don't want to hear a word out of any of you until I sort this thing out.
Does that include me?
That includes especially you, Shorty.
Shorty, is it? HR!
Shut up, or I'll strangle you myself.
Well, that can't include me, certainly.
You as well, Ms. Garland. You, the 6-foot munchkin. Please come over here.
Mr. Fleming.
What's your name again?
I'm Len, and I've been an extra in numerous...
I didn't ask for your resume. You can clearly see you have been miscast by someone upstairs. Now, you seem smart. You get that, right?
Yes, a mistake has clearly been made somewhere.
Okay, good. Now, I know you're a SAG member, so I get that. So, what's it going to take to get you off my picture without a big lawsuit against MGM? I can get you into Land of the Giants movie. There's also a Sinbad movie that needs a Cyclops. It's a great role for an up-and-comer.
Actually, I was thinking points.
Points?
In the net profits of this movie. I'd be good with, I don't know, let's just say 2%.
You're not actually serious, are you?
We'd like to welcome you to Munchkin Land.
True crime.
Sex.
Political conspiracy.
Celebrity gossip.
Murder.
UFOs.
Crooked officials.
The occult.
Assassination.
Courtroom drama. Rape.
Corporate scams.
Scandal Sheets.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scandal Sheet. My name is Thad Housley, and today we are celebrating the 85th birthday of America's most beloved film in cinema history, 1939's The Wizard of Oz. And to do this, I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Anurada. Anurada, how are you?
Well, Thad, we're not in Kansas anymore. Things have changed. We're in the big city now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But there's more tornadoes than ever. So we got that going for us.
Ain't that the truth?
Anurada, we're getting close to the 1-year anniversary of you co-hosting this podcast with me. Woo! We're only like less than 2 months away. I mean, would you like me to plan something special for you on your anniversary with the pod?
Well, Thad, I'm glad you asked. I would love...
I'm talking Tesla. Okay.
I want a little bonus. I want a little party. You know, maybe some nice little shiny things, you know.
Well, shiny
I'll let you figure it out. I'll let you figure it out.
Shiny things. What is shiny?
Jewelry. Just kidding.
Aha.
Happy 1 year.
Okay. All right.
No. You'll figure it out, Thad.
Sure.
You always do.
Party hats and cupcakes. That's what I was. Boo. I'm calling the cupcake shop down the street from you.
Ooh.
Hopefully they deliver.
Is it Georgetown Cupcakes?
No, down the street from you. Don't you live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania?
Hell no. I live in York. There's nothing here.
York, Pennsylvania. Sorry.
There's no cupcake place, but I am positive because they just opened up a police station, so maybe there'll be a donut place soon. Who knows?
So, there is no Amish cupcake place?
Yeah, but it's like 35 minutes from me. 40 minutes, yeah.
Right.
Still got to drive to see the Amish.
Well, and you've got to go in a horse-drawn carriage, right? They won't let you arrive in a car.
I don't know. I've never tried.
And of course, no Scandal Sheet episode would be complete without our artificial intelligence engine, Bernice.
Hello everyone. I want to assure our audience that, unlike this movie, no actors were seriously injured in the making of this podcast.
So, Anurada and Bernice, The Wizard of Oz is a beloved film that continues to both attract and scare new generations of children and also generate millions and millions of dollars annually for its home studio, MGM. In fact, it's playing repeatedly on HBO Max as we speak for its anniversary. I should also mention, it's not just beloved in the US and other English-speaking countries. It's been either dubbed or subtitled in over 50 different languages. And the U.S. Library of Congress, responsible for holding its copyright, claims it is the most watched film of all time around the world and in all history. So, Anurada, in your childhood in either India or Kenya, was Oz something you watched as a kid?
So in Kenya, definitely not. I don't know, it was weird because we did a play of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, it was a play before it was a movie. Yeah.
No, but we did the play in
You
Kenya
did the play. You
as
performed
kids.
it as like in school play.
Yeah, but I never actually watched it. Like I never, I don't know. I feel like we were.
You weren't Dorothy or the Wicked Witch?
I
You
think
would have
I
made a
was-
good witch. You would have made a good witch.
I know.
Sorry. I meant
that
I
a
meant the
compliment?
pretty one. I meant the pretty one.
No, I don't know. We didn't watch it as children just because I don't know. Like maybe there were some things that were deemed maybe not appropriate or whatever it may be. There were definitely we were definitely protected as children, like what to watch. Now looking back, I don't know. Maybe we were just too busy watching other things. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know why we didn't.
Okay, well, you have to admit, despite the fact that the hero of the film, Dorothy, is a Caucasian teenager from rural Kansas, her co-stars are a scarecrow, a tin man, a lion, a green-skinned witch, and an army of flying monkeys. So on the diversity scale, it gets 5 out of 5 stars, doesn't it?
I would say. I mean, the great part about it is, she was pretty much the only human. You know what I mean?
Well, the wizard, I guess.
Oh wait, I forgot about.
Remember, he was also from Kansas. He was a fraud. He was a fake, kind of a magician guy.
So I probably should have refreshed my memory and watched this shit before this episode.
That would have been helpful.
She was the only human.
Okay.
No. But I mean, for the main crew, right? She's hanging around these guys,
Yep.
I think it was a great exposure for her. You know what I mean? And I think the overall theme and that magical element, I think it was really good.
But we're not here to sing this film's praises. Other mainstream media folks will do that on this anniversary because this is a scandal sheet and we want to talk shit about how unbelievably screwed up the whole thing was in its production and distribution. So I have tried to read everything on the subject and watch every documentary, and I've compiled a list of dumpster fire stuff most people don't know about this movie. Anurata, can I have Bernice read my list and then you and I can comment on them?
Hell yeah. Let's shit talk. It's time.
Okay. So I should warn parents with young children, if those children love this movie and you're currently listening in a car or in your living room, please either turn this podcast off or put on your headphones. Those children probably don't want to hear what we have to say until they are much older. So Bernice, here we go.
Item 1. The production of The Wizard of Oz was a shit show from the start. It had 16 writers and 6 directors. It was supposed to shoot over only 6 weeks, but it eventually took over 23 weeks to shoot, almost half a year. Unheard of in 1938. It was originally budgeted at $1.5 million but ballooned to over $3 million.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, this movie seemed like a total catastrophe in 1938. I mean, the great part about it is no one noticed. Obviously, when they were watching it, it looked amazing and wonderful. But according to reports in major industry magazines at the time and now, so Variety, Hollywood Reporter, it was out of control, and no one seemed to know how to stop the spiraling costs and bad rushes. So they just kept firing directors and writers, but that didn't seem to help much. So it was pretty much a shit show. It was good though. It was good to watch.
It was a good shit show.
Just in case the kids are still listening. It was good.
It was a good shit show. Good shit show.
It was a good shit show.
Item 2. The 123 small people who were recruited to play the Munchkins are a story unto themselves. Called dwarves or midgets at the time, MGM had originally hoped to recruit 300 actors of this height profile. But they were unable to recruit their target number. Beginning with North American circuses and so-called freak shows, MGM was also forced to go to European vaudeville to find recruits. The so-called Munchkins all stayed at the same hotel within walking distance of the studio and were said to have taken it over. They were paid between $50 to $100 per week, Again, this is in the middle of the Great Depression. An average working person in the United States at this time made only $5 per week. The Munchkins' alcohol-infused sexual and other exploits at the time have become legendary, which the remaining survivors sometimes dispute. A 1981 comedy movie, Under the Rainbow, dramatizes the exploits of the Munchkin cast, although living eyewitness observants claim the movie is somewhat exaggerated. Excerpt from the trailer, courtesy Orion Pictures and Warner Brothers Entertainment.
What the hell's going on here?
Guess what happened when 150 midgets checked into a hotel in Hollywood to make one of the world's biggest movies?
I want a room.
What happened to that hotel and to Hollywood has to be seen to be believed. Now, the real madness can be shown. And believe you me, it's not short on action. It's not short on excitement either. All kinds of excitement.
Not bad.
And you better believe it's not short on laughs. If you haven't already guessed, it'll be out shortly. Chevy Chase, Carrie Fisher, and 150 of Hollywood's smallest stars in Under the Rainbow, a giant comedy.
So, Anuada, what do you think? 123 little people with more money in their pockets than 99% of the average American. These were guys and gals previously working in a circus for probably almost nothing, maybe just room and board. And all of a sudden, the MGM Corporation shows up, grabs some dudes from the Des Moines, Iowa circus, sends him or her to LA, Sin City in 1938. I mean, would you judge these guys, or would you party crazy as they did?
So basically, you're telling me a bunch of little people were getting all nasty in a hotel?
Well, they were all staying in the hotel, but they spread out into all of Hollywood. Yeah.
Damn!
They were
I didn't
everywhere.
know this. I didn't know
that's
this.
why we have this informative. This is a public service, this podcast. Informative, telling people what they need to know. They need to know drunk little dwarves.
Beware of the little people.
That's right.
That's crazy. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I feel like money, some people, when they have money, they just go crazy.
Right.
And all of a sudden, all common sense goes out the door. They start doing stupid shit. Like, there's just reports and reports of it. You know what I mean? I feel like people can't seem to keep their mind on straight. Hey, if they were going from $2 to $5 a week to all of a sudden 50 to 100, it's understandable how they may kind of not know what to do, but at the same time, like all the sexual exploits, I don't know about that, you know what I mean? But who knows? It raised their confidence, right? They got the money, and the next thing you know, they're like, you like this? Yeah, you like this? You want? I don't know what they sounded like, but I'm just...
Wow, okay. You just transported yourself back to 1930, Hollywood or Sunset Boulevard in 1938. This is, hey, little guy, how about some doobie, huh? Want some doobie?
You want these? I don't know what they sounded like. I'm just making shit up.
Okay,
man.
So what's interesting now that $100 a week sounds pretty good, but I wanted to mention that the dog. Remember the dog Toto, the cute little dog?
Yeah,
he was actually in a lot of movies at the time, and his real name was Terry the Terrier, and he was very famous, and he made, or his owners made, $125 per week. So he made more than the Munchkins, even though they had to sing and dance.
Damn. Yeah, I heard he was like the biggest behind the whole sexual exploits.
Dorothy was just on the run constantly. I mean, she was just climbing up every tree and like, get away from me!
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, hey, that's good, because if it's the only dog, so there weren't any other dogs. I mean, how did they settle on, okay, Toto's going to be a terrier?
Well, they didn't, again, let's go. This is 1938, right? Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of trained animals in Hollywood. Hollywood is compared to now, it's a relatively small place. It's an industry town, a factory town, and there was no Lassie. There was no Benji. Terry was pretty much the only game in town in terms of a trained dog, someone who could actually, go on cue, say action, tell him to go, I want you to go here. I mean, he does stuff. I mean, mostly she's holding him, but he does do some things, he does do some stuff. So he was clearly a trained dog. So
that's the moneymaker right there. If you
that was the moneymaker. Yeah. To me, even as a little kid, I thought he was kind of scruffy looking. I'm like, couldn't you get, somebody a little cuter? I don't know.
You should have got little Pit or little what's it called? Frenchie. Oh, they're cute.
What, you mean a poodle?
No, a Frenchie.
What's a Frenchie?
A French bulldog.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know what that looks like.
Or a big bulldog that just sits there and eats the whole day.
Okay. Well, she has to hold them a lot. And she's not. She's only like 5'4". So
Come here, Toto.
It's like, oh my God! Someone get me a wheelbarrow or something. Let me go back to the Munchkins real quick too. So not only and this is all according, Judy Garland, before she died, wrote her own personal memoir, and she had a whole big section devoted to The Wizard of Oz. So a lot of the things that we know about The Wizard of Oz come out of her memoir, which the very few, I don't even know if they're surviving yet. There was a documentary in the 90s. Out of all those 123 Munchkins, only 8 of them were left in the mid 90s, so maybe they're not even alive anymore. They all look pretty old. They partied too hard. And they were smoking. They're like 100 years old and they're like smoking and talking about Wizard of Oz. Anyways, they said her book was a bunch of BS. They didn't really do all that stuff. They didn't party. And she also claimed that they were constantly harassing her, like putting their hands up her skirt and just a lot of really bad stuff. Yeah, in fact, a couple of guys even got fired, by the studio. They're like, okay, we've had it with you guys. You got it.
You guys are out.
Hands off the star, man. Come on. So we paid you so you could go to the bordello. Now just behave yourself when you're on the set.
That is so crazy. I mean, hey, good for her for speaking up. It sucks that they basically said she lied, but, I don't know. Something tells me she didn't lie.
She wrote the memoir and then she killed herself, so I don't know.
Wait, what? She did?
Okay, we'll get to that part.
What the fuck, Thad?
Yeah, I know.
Hello, Scandal Sheeters. I'm one of your hosts, Anuradha. I want to ask you a personal favor. We recently launched on Patreon. Patreon is a platform where you can help support artists like us for as little as the price of one Starbucks coffee per month. It's really cool because as a Scandal Sheet subscriber, we can provide you with exclusive bonus content like uncut versions of episodes, transcripts, and bonus episodes. And you get to know Thad and I on a more personal level and stay tuned with all our antics. It's super easy to do. Just go to patreon.com/Scandal Sheet and sign up. It takes only seconds. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Scandal Sheet. You'd really be doing me a favor because Thad owes me money, freaking deadbeat. Thank you, wonderful Scandal Sheeters. Now on with our show.
Bernice, what's next?
Item 3. Actress Margaret Hamilton ended up playing the Wicked Witch role. Previous incarnations considered were a beautiful witch, such as in the Cinderella fable. But they finally went with an ugly witch, which was more like the original book. And the original actress hired quit the job, when she learned they wanted her to be ugly.
Damn, that's a compliment though. Like, you're too pretty, we're gonna have to fire you.
No, she didn't. No, they didn't fire her. They were going to try to make her ugly. She quit.
Oh.
Yeah, her agent, and you know something about her agents. Her agent said, okay, I do not, and she was, blanking her name. I didn't write it down here. But her agent said, okay, you're messing with her brand. Her brand is sexy girl, and now you're going to make her ugly? No way.
Damn, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Man, it's just makeup. Shit, I'll do that for $200 a week.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a great opportunity. And at the end of the day, I feel like, this is me speaking as an actor, I feel like some people, they focus too much on like the wrong stuff, right? You're an actor for a reason because the role entices you, the role inspires you, right? You're not there to look pretty or this, that, or whatnot. If you were, you'd be a freaking model. You wouldn't go into acting. You know what I mean?
You mean
so
like
just
you?
Yeah. Well, oh no, I don't know about that, but you know what I mean? Like if you are going to act, right, and you're an actor, and it's not like they're taking a freaking, sledgehammer and being like, all right, we're just gonna have to mess your face up permanently. No, it's makeup. You could just get rid of it and then be your pretty self again. I think that was stupid. I think she should have taken it. And it's a compliment. Like, hey, we're gonna have to ugly you up because you're too pretty. You know what I mean? Like, now what did they do with the actor that actually ended up being the witch? Were they like, you are perfect?
Okay, well, Bernice, tell us about Margaret Hamilton.
Margaret Hamilton was a contract player for MGM and didn't mind being labeled as ugly in a movie. She was up for anything. But she received third-degree burns in the following scene and spent 6 weeks in the hospital as a result.
You stay out of this, Glinda, or I'll fix you as well. Oh, rubbish. You have no power here. Be gone before somebody drops the house on you, too. Very well. I'll bide my time. And as for you, my fine lady, it's true, I can't attend you here and now as I'd like. But just try to stay out of my way. Just try. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
So, Anurata, Miss Hamilton really took one for the team, huh?
Yeah, she did.
Third-degree burn, 6 weeks in the hospital? Yikes.
That's so wild, man. Like, oh my gosh, that sucks. Like, think about it. Like, she's like, okay, well, I'll be ugly, right? You can do whatever you want to me. And then on top of all that, freaking you're around a bunch of crazy midgets, and the next thing you know, you get burnt.
I think we have to say little people. I don't think midgets is the appropriate word anymore. Yeah.
Okay, let's say little people. Well, that sucks. Like, I mean, damn, good for her to be a good sport about it, but it's wild. I got burnt, but it's okay.
Yeah, I bet like week number 3 in the hospital when Louis B. Mayer came to visit, I bet she was a great sport. She's like, Louis, hey, man, what a great job you gave me. Wow. I could have been the ugly nanny. No, you had to start me on fire.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Item 4. Margaret Hamilton's third-degree fire burns were not the full extent of her injuries in the production. Her terrifying green makeup on her face and hands actually had copper in it. And people did not at the time realize that copper was toxic.
It's not easy being green, having to spend each day the color of the leaves, when I think it might be nicer being red or yellow or gold or something much more colorful like that.
Well, that's so crazy. Like, why didn't they check these things back then? I mean, yes, it's the 1930s, but still, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there was no safety precautions, whatever. This isn't the first movie we've talked about where crazy craps happened. You know what I mean? Like, we also, back in the day, we talked about what? We talked about, The Exorcist and all the crazy stuff that happened there. You know what I mean?
We did, and The Exorcist was, well, but again, you know, when you're doing a movie like The Exorcist, or Wizard of Oz, where everything you're doing is like something no one else has ever done before.
Yeah.
You know, because if you look at most of the movies that were made, even the silent movies, you know, in the teens and the 20s, you know, it's kind of boring stuff. Everybody's like in a room wearing regular clothes, doing, you know, regular stuff, maybe kissing or running around or hitting each other over the head with a bat or something. But, you know, say, hey, you know what? We need to really paint this girl green. And then we need to start her on fire. Is that okay?
Burn her skin.
It's like, okay, can we do that legally? Sure, why not? So yeah, poor Ms. Hamilton.
I feel bad for her, man. The other one, I guess it's a good thing for her she didn't do the role then. Especially if her whole thing was glam girl. You know what I mean? That one.
Yeah, well, you know, who knows? I mean, that would be a very good question because even though all of that stuff happened, you know, the fact that I don't remember her name shows that she didn't become that famous. I mean, I know who Margaret Hamilton is, even though I know her as an ugly witch. At least I know her.
Yeah.
So there's actually I didn't know if I was going to put it in this podcast or not. She was on, do you know what Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is?
Yeah. I
Okay.
never watched it, but I know of it. Yeah.
Right. And they made a movie with Tom Hanks about it and everything.
Yay.
And anyways, in real life, she was on his show. Margaret Hamilton came on the show and she dressed up as the witch for him. And she went, you know, she did the whole bit. And it was really kind of, you know, I saw a little excerpt of it. It was very charming. But it just showed, like, even in the 1970s or whenever the show, or the 80s, whenever the actual show was, that she was already still famous. She was still famous.
I know. So basically, you got to take in a couple of injuries, make your name.
You got to take a few for the team, man.
Especially if you want Thad to remember you, you gotta burn yourself. I don't remember that other person's name.
Doggone it! What is her name?
Dang it!
Let's talk about Ms. Judy Garland, the star of this picture, the girl that played Dorothy. Now, MGM's original pick was Shirley Temple, the top little girl actress in the world in the 1930s, but also the most expensive, not unsurprisingly. Also, she was under contract with a different studio, so the whole arrangement didn't work out. But Judy Garland, though not as well known as Shirley Temple at the time, was an up-and-comer, and she was already under contract with MGM. And also her last movie was a hit. So a pretty obvious second choice for the MGM front office. Plus, when she auditioned and sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, everybody peed their pants and said, oh my God, this is our Dorothy. Isn't that right, Anurata?
It is. But I want to point out some things that may actually shock some of our listeners, because this is Scandal Sheet. So Judy Garland was super talented in singing and acting, but she was not actually thought of as super sexy by the studio guys.
Right.
So they thought she was a teenage girl next door type, and they intended to keep her that way as long as possible. MGM signed her at only 14, and she shot Oz at the age of around like 15, 16. So they had to put a girdle, sports bra on her chest so it looked like she didn't have boobs, basically. Also, the old studio executives thought she was somewhat overweight. So, you know, that's messed up, but whatever. So they put her on this ludicrous diet of only chicken soup. You know, so basically she went through her own kind of torture for this. Yeah. The studio doctors prescribed amphetamines, they're also called uppers, both to curb her appetite and help her work longer hours with energy. So for sleeping, they gave her barbiturates, often called downers. So they basically really messed her up, like up in her, down in her, and then
Sounds
Judy
like they
Garland-
turned her into a drug addict.
Yeah, she
As a
became
teenager.
addicted.
Yeah.
She became addicted to both these drugs and unfortunately passed at only the age of 49 by an accidental overdose of the very same drugs she was introduced to at the age of 15 on the set of The Wizard of Oz. It's actually a pretty sad story. But I also feel like this could have been another lawsuit. Like it's not bad enough that they burnt the crap out of that other chick and sent her to the hospital. They got this chick on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. It's really, really terrible.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, it's just I can't. I mean, it's the saddest part of this whole story, really, because she was such an indisputable. I mean, you can just look at her in this movie. There's a dozen other movies. Obviously, she could just unbelievably talented singer and actress.
Yeah.
And for a large corporation to do this in a it's not like she was secretly taking drugs on the side. They were pushing this stuff on her.
Yeah.
And her mom was going along with it. You know, everybody would say, well, she had the worst mom in the world, like the worst stage mom. She was basically just taking advantage of her daughter because she, the parents were getting all the money. They weren't like giving a check to a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So everybody was just taking advantage of her her whole life.
And that's the worst part, right? Because I feel like producers, directors, you have a moral responsibility, right? Like people often think about, so many unfortunate actors that were perfect. Like my favorite actor, Heath Ledger. You see what happened there. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, how much did the
Was that an
directors
accidental overdose or suicide?
To be honest, I still don't know. Like some people are saying it was suicide, some people are saying it was an overdose.
Okay, well, that's exactly what happened with Judy Garland, where they, some people said it was an accident, some people said it was legitimate. I mean, she was hooked on the drugs, but after 30 years, she probably knew how to avoid an overdose. Wouldn't she?
I mean, I suppose, but the truth of the matter is, like, who knows, right? We're just speaking on the things that we researched, but who knows what else was going on, especially, if you got the little people being a certain way with you, maybe the directors were turning their cheek, who knows, right? So it's just like you have a moral responsibility when you're creating a film to make sure that the set is safe and all those kinds of things. Now, of course, we have things put in place. We have SAG, so on and so forth, where you have people there to protect the integrity of the film and the actors, right? There's some advisors on there for intimate scenes where they're like, hey, he's gonna do this, is this okay? Hey, she's gonna have to do this, is it like you have all that to protect it? But back then you didn't have anything, and I'm not saying things are perfect right now, things are still shaky, but at least it's better than how it used to be, where you're pretty much alone. Like this girl is 15, 16, her mom's, who's supposed to have her back, is doing whatever, just to maybe get the money, that kind of thing. It's just it's really sickening. You have to have a really strong support system, I feel, to be an actor. Otherwise you can fall into traps. You can start, I don't know, going to Epstein's parties. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like it's unfortunate. That's the next
Epstein's
episode.
party.
Just kidding.
Well, promise me you won't take any drugs other than chocolate or caffeine, no matter what your agent or your employer promises you.
Hell no. I got my coffee right here, my cappuccino right here. As you can see, it's delicious and finished.
Delicious. Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, the great part about it is that like my family, although protective, I know they've always had my back, and I know that like it's just really important to have a strong support system when you're doing these kinds of things. You know what I mean? Because I always think about, well, would I be able to look them in the eye if I do stupid shit? And then the answer is clearly no, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to do stupid shit then. You know what I mean? So it kind of kind of balances out, but like people don't always have that, right? So they kind of have to create that within. Or there's some people who are just like, whatever, I'm just going to do whatever it takes. You know what I mean? Not to name any names, but in when I was in acting school, there was this girl, she was just like, you know, she was good, but she was like up for anything. Like I remember one time she's like, oh, if a sex scene is involved, like that's fine, I'll do it. And I'm like, girl, this is college. Like this, you know what I mean? There are not going to be any of those scenes in here. Like we're doing improv.
You don't happen to have her number, do you? Sorry.
Who knows?
Everyone.
Who knows where she is? Who knows where she is? But she, you know, she was up for it and all those kinds of things. And, you know, I mean, if that's your thing, then great, then that's fine. But you know what I mean? Like there are just certain things you have to like set, you know, from the get-go, right? Like I told my agent, I'm not gonna take my clothes off. I'm not gonna do certain scenes. It's just not gonna happen. You know, I'm not gonna smoke real cigarettes on camera. You know what I mean? Like you give me the fake ones, I'll do it. You know, and that's just kind of something that I put in my mind, and I didn't want to divert from it. You know what I mean?
Fortunately, there's very little nudity in an audio podcast, so
yes,
doesn't really, you know, don't have to worry about that. Although we do have the camera on right now, so I don't know. Anyways,
you'll see what I look like.
So, despite all the problems that plagued this movie, and the cost overruns, tripling of the budget, blah, 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 when the studio guys looked at the rough cut, they were like, you know what? It was all worth it. This is going to be a winner. And then that's your part.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I see it.
No worries.
And maybe they would have had a winner, Thad, in a different time and place. So The Wizard of Oz had an amazing premiere on August 25th, 1939. So literally coming up in New York City.
Tomorrow,
over 15.
Yeah.
I know. So, yay. Over 15,000 people stood in line for hours or days just to get tickets. Only a few hundred could get in. So that's awesome. The movie was an instant hit with that initial audience, and the early reviews were terrific. Unfortunately, World War II started only 6 days later, on September 1st. So while the U.S. didn't officially enter the war until 1941, after Pearl Harbor, the writing was on the wall. A children's fantasy film was just not the zeitgeist of the moment. So not only did The Wizard of Oz not break even, it actually lost over $1 million, which was a huge amount of money in the Depression-ravaged 1939. So maybe these morons should have done their research a little bit, seen what's going on, watched the news a little bit, you know, or hear the news at that time. And it sucks. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, so much happened. Like, this chick got burnt. This chick's getting harassed. Freaking, you got asbestos snow.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
It does suck. It does suck. But, you know, the thing was, after all the years passed, and finally there was this new medium of television in the mid-50s, and it, you know, and it was sort of a forgotten movie, you know, because it had been, you know, came out, they did their best, they promoted the heck out of it in 1939, but it came back in 1956 and in prime time, and it was like one of the first movies to, you know, they were doing shows, you know, the original shows and live TV and stuff like that. And they said, you know what, why don't we replay old movies? That would be a cheap way to do stuff on TV. So they said, what about The Wizard of Oz? Okay, well, let's put that up. Let's replay it on Easter or Thanksgiving or whatever. Boom! They make gazillions of dollars. And then for every single year after, they just kept replaying it. MGM was like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And then, of course, later you've got VHS, and then after that you had DVD, and now you've got streaming, and it's running, day and night on HBO Max as we're recording here. I mean, it's just making bank right and left, even 85 years later.
I mean, that's
so I don't
great.
feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the fact that, the actors involved at the time weren't getting gigantic royalties. But I mean, as far as the movie overall, I mean, we can't say, it is probably the most financially successful movie of all time other than Gone with the Wind.
So basically, the actors didn't really get as much of the return as they should have, even though these guys were making a crap ton of money years and years later. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, one thing we didn't talk about, which comes up in the cold open, is the fact that the Screen Actors Guild, or SAG, had only a few years earlier, 1933, been invented, and there was a lot of resistance to it, but eventually the studios did have to cave and had to pay these guys money. So when you look at the budget, which I saw on a documentary, out of that $3 million, about $500,000 was just for the cast. So, the director made like $140,000, all the special effects and, we got to burn all these people. But, Judy Garland and the Tin Man, the main cast got $500,000. So they went home pretty happy.
Okay, that's
considering
good.
Most people, like we said earlier, are only making $5 a week. So I guess that's with
good.
this.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that at least they got something out of it, especially since the first time they lost some money. If they're going to replay it, I hope all the actors got some money out of it. So
you hope their
crazy.
Their great grandkids are making, like, when they play it on HBO Max, who gets the money?
Oh yeah, good call.
It's only 4 months after the premiere of Wizard of Oz, which, as we said, got great reviews, didn't make enough money to even break even. 4 months later, Gone with the Wind comes out. Very same studio, very same director, Victor Fleming. And it's about the Civil War from the perspective of the slave-holding South. It's very, very cynical. It's very bleak. It's very racist. But boy, it broke every box office record.
That's wild.
Up until the time. I mean, it was exactly what America wanted in the middle of a Second World War. Yeah, I want people just being killed by the gazillions. And, just racism all over the place. So
we don't want fantasy. We want killings.
We want death.
Bombings. Give us that.
I want the drone shot. Okay, they didn't have drones. I want the dolly shot of 1 million dead people.
Damn. People were terrible back then. Holy crap.
Oh, unlike now. It's so great that the world is such a happy, fun, cheerful place now.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at the presidential campaign and I go, wow, it's almost like being in Catholic school again. So, thank you, Sister Anyarada. Oh, dear.
I would definitely say that it's a shame that so much had to happen and so much was happening on set, which at that time, unfortunately, is probably the norm for movies being shot. You know what I mean? But
except a regular movie, which would be like, in the Depression, you go back and you look at those old movies on TCM or something. It's like, it's always a bunch of people like living in Manhattan, and they, for some reason, all day long they wear tuxedos or evening gowns, and they're sipping martinis, and they're either on their way or coming back from the club. And it's like, well, you have an affair with my sister.
I do.
It would have been weird for like 125 Munch munchkins to come in the door, or flying monkeys, or okay, well let's just start this actress on fire.
Shit, man. That's crazy.
So this one was a little different.
This is definitely different,
Well, it's time to send out the flying monkeys on this episode, folks. I want to thank my amazing co-hosts, Anurata and Bernice. Please follow or subscribe to Scandal Sheet on your favorite pod platform. And share it with all your friends. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a shameless, over-the-top rave review on Apple Podcasts especially. That helps us build audience. And we would really appreciate it if you could support us on Patreon, where you can enjoy premium bonus content for less than the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Just go to patreon.com/scandalsheet. Also, we want to hear from you. You can reach us online at Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, or TikTok. Or just send us an email to scandalsheetpod@gmail.com. See you next time on Scandal Sheet!
Copyright 2024. Thad Halsley Media, LLC. All rights reserved.